धर गिरधर कजाधर सुदर्शन चक्रधर जय जय मधुमधुसूदन.
Thank you. I think Asia Society, those of you who know, we are going to be off to a very, very busy season already, and this is one of our big program. And then the musicians will perform on Sunday. We still have tickets available. I know it's going to be a sellout. We're expecting a full house at Jockey Club Hall. So those of you who are interested in joining us, please feel free to let us know if you get tickets online. And I wanted to really right now thank the consulate. The Pakistani consulate here in Hong Kong. Without their support, we cannot do programs like this. We've really enjoyed working with the consulate this last year on a variety of programs in the music space and other programs. And I really want to thank the consulate for their support. And now really want to invite Ms. Frida Khan to stage to formally get the program started. And really, if you like, I'm sure if you like tonight's talk, please tell your friends about it, and we look forward to seeing you back on Sunday evening. So Frida.
Thank you very much, Alice, for your warm welcome. As Alice said, we've partnered with Bucks and Consulate, partnered with the Asia Society before as well. We hope to continue partnering in future as well. And it's not just because Asia Society is a prestigious partner for us, and it's not just because you have such a beautiful location, excellent facilities, your venue, but you have a really fantastic team. I have really enjoyed working with Stanley and Winsome. They have been they've been accommodating and quick and slow with us and patient and professional and friendly. It's been really good. Other than Asia Society, there are a couple of people and organizations I want to mention, because without their support, we really wouldn't be here today. It's quite simple as that. The first is Build Developments in Literacy. It's an international NGO. It has affiliates in various countries, including Hong Kong. They work on international girls' education in Pakistan in particular. The whole Bill board has been really supportive, and I'm not going to take everyone's names, but Najmi in particular and Shalina Farhan Faruqi. It's because of their effort and Bill's team's effort that we really are here today. They're the ones who've given shape and form to what was just an idea several months ago. A very special thanks to Thai Airways, Overlook Hotels, Lilia Restaurant, especially Mr. and Mrs. Pervez Shah. There are several people who I've mentioned today who are not here in the audience, but I hope that the positive energy with which I talk about them and remember them sort of reaches across the universe to them, and I think they will feel that I'm saying good things about them. Of course, the Pakistan Consulate, where the organizers, a couple of people I just want to quickly thank there. My husband, first of all, is sitting here in the front. Despite the challenges of working with a husband, it has actually been a good experience. I've enjoyed working on this sort of project with him. Ali Awan is somewhere here. Ali Awan is like a machine. You put in a problem and out comes a solution. He's been really tremendous in all of this. Ali Malik as well, special thanks to Ali Malik. He's been great with the publicity, the outreach, helping quietly behind the scenes with so many things, and many others. Claudius and Julianne and the ever cheerful Cherry. You will see Cherry and you'll know why I've used this epithet for her. There's some people who are not with organizations, but again, I just want to thank them. They've given me great support in the past, great support, moral, mental, material. My sister Saira, who's not here yet, she's late as usual, and her husband Umar, and my children Aisha and Hassan. You see Aisha in the back as well. I feel as though I'm at an award speech without an award. If there was an award, I would give it to Ali Adnan. Ali Adnan, he's been such a source of immense support throughout this, coordinating, helping in so many things I can't even begin to list them. And I think I've made a wonderful friend in the process. Ali Adnan is our speaker today. Ali Adnan, I don't know how to begin to introduce him, but he's a reader, writer, researcher, archiver of arts and culture and all things good about Pakistan. We don't often hear good things about Pakistan. I've only met Ali once before, actually, and that was for about 2.5 seconds at a seminar a couple of years ago in Islamabad. And I remember I was sitting there and I was thinking, 3 hours, PowerPoint presentation, Qawwali, I'm not even sure I like Qawwali. I didn't know much about Qawwali, so I'm not even sure I like Qawwali. Maybe I should have got a place in the back so I could have slipped out of the door. Maybe some of you are thinking that now. But as soon as the presentation started, I was absolutely transfixed. And when it finished, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, more people need to know about this. So I can't tell you how delighted I am that today we have, I think we're expecting more than 100 people today, so we're almost full now, just about 5 or 6 or maybe 10 seats left. And I've had a quick look at the confirmation list. We have people from around 15 or 16 nationalities here. And over the course of the next 3 days, we'll be interacting with more than 400 people. So I can't really even begin to tell you how, it's unimaginable for me almost, how delighted I am that, we are here and I'm with you, and we're going to go on this, what I can only call the journey of discovery together. Because it's through discovery that comes understanding, it's through understanding that comes friendship, through friendship comes love. And we've all experienced love. We've experienced love with a spouse, with a lover, with a child, parent, with the divine. And I know you'd all agree with me that there really is nothing greater than the discovery of love. So I wish you all today an evening of love. I wish us all a life of love. Thank you very much.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's with great pleasure that I welcome you to tonight's seminar on Qawwali that's been put together by the Consulate General of Pakistan in partnership with Asia Society Hong Kong, with the help of Thai Airways, Ovolo Hotels, Pakistan Chamber of Commerce, Lydia Moroccan Restaurant and Grill, and the Developments and Literacy Foundation. Our presentation today will last a little over 2 hours. It will have some demonstrations, a little bit of performance, and a lot of talk. I would love it if you ask questions. You can ask them by interrupting me at any time or save them towards the end of the presentation. And if there's anything we can do to make this a better evening for you, just stop me at any point and we'll try to accommodate the request. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, what is Qawwali? As we go through the presentation, we will talk much more about the Qawwali, its origin, its evolution, its development, its place in our culture, in our society, its place in the world, its place in the world of Sufism. But to begin with, there is a simple definition of Qawwali, which is that Qawwali celebrates love. And it can be any kind of love, as long as it's pure, it's sincere, and it comes from the heart. During the course of the presentation, we will continue building the definition, but at the core, it will remain a celebration of love. And of course, love has existed for a very, very long time. A lot of people associate Qawwali with Islam. The fact is that the Qawwali predates Islam. The oldest form of Qawwali, which is recorded, is 32 centuries old, and we find its earliest roots in the Vedic chants, which are the oldest vocal tradition in the world. And in that time, we used to have mantras, which the Vedic period, people from the Vedic period would recite. And these mantras would be recited over and over in repetition, in praise of God, in praise of the priest, in praise of the deities, so many times that people achieved a trance-like state. And these mantras were very long and they were not easy to memorize. Some of them, like the Ghana part, Jat part, Gram part, were very long, and there were formulas that had been defined to memorize them and to perform them. Now, one of the simple formula was Jat part. And not to go into great detail, A, B, B, A, what does that mean? There are two words, Hari, Om. Hari is A, Om is B. What the people would do is Hari, Om, Om, Hari. Hari, Om, Om, Hari. They would chant that in a group so that there would be a drone loud sound and people would go into a trance. More complicated mantras had more than two words, and these are some examples that I've put down. The thing to remember here is A, Qawwali is 3200 years old, and it may be much older, but the oldest recorded history of any kind of music is 3200 years old. We do not have any document that proves that music was sung before that. Qawwali has been documented in a book called the Natya Shastra. It was written by Bharat Mani, an Indian sage, 200 years before the common calendar. So the oldest form of music arguably is Qawwali today. Now, one of the forms that Qawwali took in earlier days was known as zikr. Zikr means literally talking about something, talking about somebody. And what people would do in mosques, in khanqahs, in private residences, in private parties is that they would talk about the one that they loved. And they would talk about them so often and in so much rhythm and with so much devotion that they achieved a trance-like state. And zikr was, of course, one of the primitive forms of Qawwali. Subsequently, music was added to zikr, dance was added to zikr, alcohol was added to zikr, and a lot of drugs were added to zikr. And this became sama, and it became a lot more fun. So what people did was, the goal was very simple. To celebrate your love for someone, that you achieve ecstasy, that you achieve a transcendental state, that you achieve rapture, that you go to another place. And that was the goal of Qawwali. And one of the things that I always like to talk about is that Qawwali is really taking the name of the one you love. And for most people, at some stage in their life, that love is the love for the Creator. And that can be Allah or Bhagwan or God, but it is the love for the Creator. Indeed, if you read the Quran, it says that glorify the name of the Lord and take it over and over again. But that is not true just for the Quran. It's also true for the Bible, where it says, and everyone who calls the name of the Lord will be saved. Then in Buddhism, it says, all who sincerely call upon my name will come to me after death. And the same is true for Hinduism as well. So celebrating your love for God, the Creator, is almost a universal phenomenon and is one of the bases of Qawwali. So Qawwali is really something about love. And this word, this calligraphy says a word called ishq. This loosely translates into love, but it's an inadequate translation. Because ishq is more than just love, it also includes devotion. It also includes sincerity, it also includes honesty, and more than anything else, it includes humiliation of the self. You build yourself and your ego in pursuit of the love where you are no longer existing and the one that you love exists. That is ishq, and that is the subject of all Qawwali. Now, one thing that we should say is Qawwali, I already mentioned, talks about the Creator. So it says Qawwali can be, but is not always about God. It can be, but is not always about any religion. However, it is always about love. And it can be the love for the Creator, for your husband, for your wife's sister, your son, or anybody else. But it can be love of any sort. And that is what Qawwali is. And that's the one thing to remember. And at this point, what I'm going to ask the Qawwals to do is to sing a song in praise of God, the Creator. It is a song that is going to be sung in a rag known as Bhairo, in a tal known as Chap Tal of 10 beats. For those of you who don't understand rag and Chap Tal, we are not going to let you leave tonight before being able to recognize rags and being able to count beats. That comes later. But we are first going to enjoy a song in 10 beats in rag Bhairo, Allahu Allah.
Thank you.
काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बज़्म जाम से
मेरे मौला मेरे कभी बज़्म जाम से काबे से काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बज़्म जाम से।
हाँ साहब, काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बज़्म जाम से। और इसको फारसी में कैसे कहते हैं? गरज़ मस्जिदों में खानाम विसाल शुमास्त, गरज़ मस्जिदों में खानाम विसाल शुमास्त, जुज़ी ख़याल न दारम खुदा गवाह मनास्त। काबे
मेरे मौला ओ माय गॉड, ओ माय गॉड, मेरे अल्लाह मेरे मौला
काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बज़्म जाम से आवाज दे रहा हूँ तुझे हर मकाम से। अल्लाहु अल्लाह अल्लाहु अल्लाह जल्ला शान अल्लाह अल्लाहु अल्लाह जल्ला सनी रे सनी दादा पामा गा रे सा अल्लाहु अल्लाह जल्ला शान अल्लाह। तेरो नाम ली है मेरी होवे तसल्ला अल्लाहु अल्लाह जल्ला शान pa ma ga re ga ma ba da ma pa ga ga ma ba da pa ma ga re sa sa re ga re sa re ga ga re re sa azab sa re ga re sa re ga ma re sa re ga ma pa pa da ma ba da ni da pa ma ba da ni sa da ni da da pa pa ma ga re sa
Allahu Allah. काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बस में जाम से
काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बस में जाम से
काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बस में जाम से
काबे से बुत कदे से कभी बस में जाम से
आवाज दे रहा हूँ तुझे हर मकाम से
अल्लाहु अल्लाह जल्ला शाने अल्लाह तेरो नाम ली है मेरी हो रे तसल्ला
तू रहीम तू करीम
तू रहीम तू तू रहीम तू करीम
तू रहीम तू करीम तू सत्तार तू गफार
तू रहीम तू करीम तू
सरी 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 धरी दा पा मा पा मा पा मा पा मा पा मा पा गा मा गा सरे गा मा पा 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 मा पा मा पा मा पा मा पा मा पा दा मा मा दा पा नी 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 दा पा सरी रे सा नी दा पा मा गा रे सा तू
रहीम तू करीम तू रहीम तू करीम
तू रहीम तू करीम तू सत्तार तू गफार हर सूते हारो
हर सूते हारो है ये तजल्ला अल्लाहु अल्लाह जल्ला शाने अल्लाह तेरो नाम ली है
सनी
मेरी
धनी 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 दा पा मा बा दा नी सा सनी धनी धनी नी धनी जा धनी धनी दा पा मा बा दा पा मा गा गा मा पा मा गा रे सा सरे गा मा गा रे सा रे गा मा पा मा बा दा नी सा नी नी दा पा मा गा रे सा
अल्लाहु अल्लाह
अल्लाह Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है. Qawwali became increasingly popular as Sufis, saints, clerics, tradesmen, teachers, musicians started moving to what used to be the South Asia, but the area essentially covered by India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh at this point. Now, at that time, Hinduism was the primary religion in the region, and this is orthodox Hinduism before the Bhakti movement, before enlightenment. Now, they had a system known as the Varan system, which was a caste system in which people were divided into 5 categories. They were the Brahmins, who were the priests, who held the knowledge, and they used to speak and write a language known as Sanskrit, which was not allowed for other people to be learnt or spoken. And all books of knowledge, all books about music, all books about theology were written in Sanskrit. They held knowledge. The second caste was Kshatriyas. These were the rulers, the administrators, the government, the people who ran the affairs of the country, of the city, of the small town, about the little kingdoms within the big kingdom. Then there was the Vaishyas, who was the artisans, the professionals, the merchants, the tradesmen. And then there were the Shudras, who were the laborers, who would build homes, who would build streets, who would make utensils. And then there was another class of people who were not even considered part of the four classes because they were considered so inferior, so much below other people, and these were the Dalits. These were the people who cleaned the toilets and who did things that other people were not allowed to do. Now, so you have an idea how bad life was for Dalits. They were not allowed to read. They were not allowed to learn to write. Music was not to be heard by them. They were not allowed inside the homes of the other four castes. They were required to walk without shoes at all times and have a little broom tied to their clothing because people needed to be able to know who to stay away from. And one of the things that I found out when I was researching the Dalits was that they were not allowed to leave their homes until 2 or 3 hours after sunrise and 2 or 3 hours before sunset. And the reason was that when the sun is rising, you cast a very long shadow. And when the sun is on top, the shadow is smaller. So people felt that if the shadow of the Dalit fell on a Brahman, on a Kshatriya, on a Vaishya, on a Shudra, they would become unclean and they would no longer be pure. So this was the environment of the country at that time, and Muslim saints who wanted to convert people to Islam felt that the best way to attract people to Islam is to give them what they have not been able to receive in the past, which was music, education, respect, and equal treatment. And the easiest thing for them to do was to use Qawwali because that included music, it included poetry, and it included knowledge. And it was for this reason that Qawwali came to be associated with Islam. Even though it existed before Islam, it existed in the region before Islam, Muslims used it to attract people to the religion by giving them something that they had never received. And Qawwali started to be sung all over the country by the 12th century. But there were no formal rules for Qawwali. Different people practiced the art form differently. Different people had different rules and regulations for its performance. And it was Amir Khusro, one of the greatest musicians, poets, scholars, politician, astronomer, mathematician of his time, who formalized Qawwali. He set down the rules, the regulation, the scriptures, the requirements of good Qawwali, and made sure that it was an established form with established rules that could be used to determine if Qawwali was being sung properly, if it was being sung well, if it was being done the right way. He did not believe that an art form would thrive and survive if 2,000 different people in the same region performed 2,000 different forms of Qawwali. Now, the Qawwali that we listen to today, the one you listen to here today, is the one that was formalized by Hazrat Amir Khusro. No other form of Qawwali has survived. This is the only one, and the Qawwali that you listen to today is the Qawwali invented and established by Hazrat Amir Khusro. Now, one of the stories that I like to tell is about a story from the court of the second ruler of the Khilji dynasty, Alauddin Khilji. At that time, there was a very famous musician in South India known as Naik Gopal. He came to the court of Alauddin Khilji and he said that I have written 28,000 lines of verse in 6 different genres, which are the Chand, Dua, Geet, Prabandh, Matha, and Govind. And he asked for 3 weeks to recite them, and he sang them for 3 weeks along with 1,000 students that he has brought along. And at the end of those 3 weeks, he said to Alauddin Khilji, if anybody in your court, in your kingdom, can sing better than this, then I will exceed and become his student. But if nobody can better these songs, then you have to crown me as the greatest living musician of all times. Now, each one of these 6 forms, Chand, Dua, Geet, Govind, Matha, Prabandh, were in the form of questions. So essentially, he asked 28,000 questions, and he wanted answers to that. So before we move forward, These kids have learned these questions in Sanskrit language, and I would like them to recite them for you so you know what kind of questions were being asked. Beta Nai Gopal ke.
गुरणधर गिरधर कजाधर
सुदर्शन चक्रधर जय जय माधु मधुसूदनम गुरधर गिरधर गजाधर सुदर्शन चक्रधर जय जय माधु मधुसूदनम परम पुरख पातक परिणम दे दमद दामुदरम दूती अपरम पारक आदर दरनम कमल नयन कृपाल केशु कनस अरी करना करनम विष्णुनाथ
मही धरन खल धलन कृपा करनम
आही नाथन अटकल बंधन काली मृदन
गिरधरनम दीनानाथ दयाल सिद्ध सुद्ध सुरबाओ के बिहार अवतारनम गिरपत गोपाल
अगम्य अधोचर निरंजन निराकार सभी साकार सरिष्ठ करनम
So these were the questions, and the questions were needed answers. Now, Alauddin Khilji was a Muslim ruler. He was impressed by the music. The music was indeed very powerful. But he did not want to accept that a South Indian Hindu musician will sing in his court, and nobody in his entire court, in his entire kingdom, was going to be able to answer that. So he asked Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia to come and visit him, and he said to Nizamuddin Aulia that I've heard that you have got a student named Amir Khusro, who is very knowledgeable about music, language, poetry, and I am in a dilemma. I've had a Hindu musician come and challenge me, and he's so good that I'm afraid that I'm going to have to crown him the king. So Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia said, let me talk to Amir Khusro, and he asked Amir Khusro to go to Alauddin's court. Amir Khusro went there, and he said, I do not know if I'm going to be able to best the music, and I have a couple of concerns. One concern is that Nai Gopal also knows magic, and he's known to hypnotize people by looking at them. The second thing he said was that I also am respected as a musician, as a poet, as a scholarship, and I'm afraid I'll be embarrassed if I cannot best him. So I request that I be allowed to listen to him behind a curtain, and if I feel that I can do better, I will let you know, and if I can't, then I will just go home without having any spell on me and without having been embarrassed. So he listened to the music, and he said, I am going to be able to answer this. Give me 3 weeks. And after 3 weeks, he came back with 28 lines of verse, which were the Gul, Khayal, Naksh, Kalbana, Qawl, and Tarana. And he said, this is what I'm going to perform through my students. So before I tell you about these songs, let me tell you who those students were. Instead of bringing 1,000 students like Nai Gopal, he brought 12 students who were all in their teens. And instead of 28,000 lines, he just wrote 28 lines. The leader of those 12 people was a young boy, 13 years old, known as Mian Samat bin Ibrahim. He was a young boy that Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia and Amir Khusro used to see on the banks of the river Ganges in Delhi. And he would notice that the young boy could not talk and his father could not see, but he would hold his father's hand and take him along the banks of the river just so that his father could get some fresh air, could get out of the house and could listen to sounds of nature. So he once asked the boy, "Why do you do this?" He said, "My father is home alone all day. He is deprived of all that nature has to offer, and when I am home, I just feel that an hour or two with him along the banks of Jamuna is going to be good for me and good for him." Nizamuddin Aulia, who believed in love, said, "This is pure love, and I wish that God give you back your sense of speaking speech, and that your God also cures the blindness of your father." Indeed, both of them happened within 7 days, and the father was so impressed that he took his young son, Mian Samad bin Ibrahim, to his khanka and said, "You train this boy, you are the one who gave him speech." So Hazrat Nizamuddin Aulia said, Mian Samad bin Ibrahim will be the first primary student of Amir Khusro in music, and Amir Khusro decided to make him the first Qawwal of the world. So the first Qawwal is Mian Samad bin Ibrahim. He was 13 at the time, and his speech had been restored by a prayer, a supplication made by Nizamuddin Aulia. Now 700 years have passed since, and his entire genealogy has been preserved. We have Tanras Khan ji, who was the court musician of Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was a descendant of Mian Samad bin Ibrahim. We have Munshi Raziuddin, we have Ramzan Ali Khan, we have the Nizamis. And today, we are really fortunate that we have amongst them 8 representatives of the 27th generation of Mian Samad bin Ibrahim. These young men who are here are direct descendants of the very first Qawwal of this world, Mian Samad bin Ibrahim. It's my great fortune to introduce to you Baligh, Mustafa, Moiz, Ghayoor, Shah, Zarar, Tehseen, and Haris.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Qawwali that they sing is not theirs. It is not their fathers, it is not their grandfathers. It is Amir Khusro and Mian Samad bin Ibrahim's Qawwali. And the next Qawwali that I'm going to ask to sing them is something written by Hazrat Amir Khusro. Chap tilak sab chheen lire, mose naina milai ke. And what that means is that no matter how much you dress up, no matter how good you look, no matter how much you learn, no matter how much you achieve in life, when you come face to face with the one you love, everything disappears, because everything is better in the one that you love. Chap tilak sab chheen lire, mose naina milai ke.
Ritena जीते ना 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 जीते ते ते ना रा 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 ना
अपनी छप छप बनाई के मैं तो पी के पास गई
अपनी छप छप बनाई के मैं तो पी के पास गई
अपनी जब बनाई के मैं तो पी के पास गई और जब जब देखी पी हूँ की मैं तो अपनी भूल गई
छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुँह से नैना मिला के
छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुँह से नैना मिला छाप तिलक सब
हमने बालम ने मुँह से
छाप तिलक सब प्यारे बालम ने मुँह
वो
से
अपनी छप बनाए के मैं तो पी के पास गई
अपनी छवि बनाई के मैं तो पी के पास गई मैं तो पी के पास गई मैं तो पी के पास गई मैं
और जब छप देखी पीहू की मैं अपनी भूल गई
छाप तिलक सब छीनी
मोसे
नैना मिला के छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुँह से नैना
नैना रे मोसे
नैना
नैना रे मोसे नैना
नैना रे मोसे
नैना रे मोसे
नैना
नैना रे मोसे
नैना नैना रे मोसे दो नैन
दो नैन
दो नैन
दो नैन
दो नैन तेरे दो नैन मेरे
दो नैन तेरे दो नैन मेरे दो नैन तेरे दो नैन मेरे
दो नैन तेरे दो नैन मेरे
दो नैन तेरे दो नैन मेरे
जब मिले तो मिलके चार हुए
जब मिले तो मिलके चार हुए
ये अपनी अपनी किस्मत है
ये अपनी अपनी किस्मत है
दो जीत गए दो हार गए
नैना रे मुँह से नैना नैना रे
मुँह से नैना
मुँह से नैना मुँह से नैना
हो
मुँह से नैना 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 नैना रे मुँह
दो
से
नैन
दो नैन
दो नैन तेरे दो नैन मेरे
दो नैन तेरे दो नैन मेरे
जब मिले तो मिलके चार हुए
जब मिले तो मिलके चार हुए
ये अपनी अपनी किस्मत है
ये अपनी अपनी किस्मत है
दो जीत गए
दो हार गए नैना रे मुँह से नैना नैना रे
मुँह से नैना
मुझसे नैना मिला के मुझसे नैना मुझसे नैना मिला के नैना 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 मुझसे नैना नैना रे मुझसे नैना.
The living legends has come in front of our, and we need to permission my father and uncle. Thank you. नैना मिला के
सैना चला के नैना मिला
हो सैना चला के नैना मिला हो मुँह पे सैना चला के मुँह पे सैना चला के
मुँह से नैना रे मुँह से नैना नैना मिला के
सैना चला के
नैना मिला के सैना चला के
मुझसे नैना मिला के और सैना चला के बात अघम में कह दी मुझसे नैना मिला के
बात अघम कह दी
बालम ने मुझसे
नैना मिला के
नैना मिला के सहना चला के
नैना मिला के सैना चला के सैना चला के बात अखम कह दी नीरे मुझसे नैना मिला के
बल बल जाऊं मैं बल बल जाऊं मैं तोरे रंग रे जीवा
बल बल जाऊं मैं तोरे रंग रे जीवा बल बल जाऊं तोरे रंग रे जीवा बल बल जाऊं मैं तोरे रंग रे जीवा मैं तोरे रंग रे जीवा मैं तोरे रंग रे जीवा मैं तोरे रंग
बल बल जाऊं मैं बल बल जाऊं मैं
तोरे रंग रे जीवा
अपनी सी रंग दी नीरे मुझसे नैना मिला के अपनी सी रंग दी बाल मेरे
नैना मिला के छाप तिलक सब Thank you. Thank you.
So, before we continue with the story of Nai Gopal and Amir Khusro, let me welcome Farid Ayaz and Abu Muhammad Qawwal, who, in my opinion, are the greatest living Qawwals in the world today, and they are the fathers of the young Qawwals here. So, with your permission, I would like to continue. So, Nai Gopal had sung 28,000 lines of verse. Amir Khusro had 12 kids sing 28 lines of verse. Those kids came to be known as the Qawwal Bachchas. They were the first Qawwali ensemble of the world, and they went all over India to propagate Qawwali and to make sure it had the same parameters, the same rules, the same indices practiced all over the region. Nai Gopal was a great musician, and he said, "You have done better than me." and I would like to become your disciple. But Amir Khusro said, the truth is that you are a greater musician, and the only reason that I succeeded was because I had the blessings of my Murshid, Hazrat Nizamuddin Auliya. So the duel ended amicably, and Qawwali was born, and 12 Qawwals came into being, and we have their 27th generation with us today. In the next section, I want to talk a little bit about Rag and Tal, which really is not about Qawwali, but is about South Asian music. So please bear with me, because it would be nicer if we understood those concepts before we move forward. Is that okay? So we call this music Hindustani Sangeet. The word is a little misleading because India is also known as Hindustan. The fact is that the region has two types of music: Carnatic music, which is the music of southern India, and Hindustani Sangeet, which is the music of northern India and Pakistan. So we'll talk about Hindustani Sangeet from India, northern India, and from Pakistan. It has two essential components, which are sur and rag, and lay and tal. And sur is very simply a frequency, and we have some basic notes known as sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni. These are 7 notes, and as we move from sa to re, the frequency increases, and from re to ga, the frequency increases. And by this time, when we go to the next sa, the frequency has doubled. And the doubling of frequency in mathematics is known as an octave. So an octave has 7 notes and comprises of a doubling of frequency. Now, these surs have certain names, and they have Western equivalents. Sa is do, re, and re is re, mi, fa, so, la, si. This is, if we assume the sa as the tonic, this is the equivalent in Hindustani Sangeet for Western music. Now, one of the things that we talk about is that music has 12 notes, not 7. And what that really means is that there are some forms of these notes. Sa and pa are 2 notes that are fixed and do not have multiple forms. Ni, dha, ma, ga, re each have a high frequency version and a low frequency version. So we have 3 types of notes: flat, which is known as komal in Urdu; natural, which is known as shuddha; and sharp, which is known as tivar in Urdu. So sa and pa have only one form. Re, ga, da, ni have a lower frequency komal and a natural form, and ma has a natural form and a higher frequency version. So this makes sa and pa 2, and all the remaining 5 notes, 2 versions. 10 plus 2 is 12. And one of the things that I always am surprised about is that, except for a few countries like Turkey, Indonesia, and some parts of Africa, all over the world, these notes are the same. People from diverse regions, when there was not much travel beyond sub-Saharan Africa, the same music notes were used there, in England, in what is now America, in Pakistan. And there are maybe 2 or 3 countries where some notes are different. But I would say more than 95% of music in this world follows these 12 notes. So this is essentially what I was trying to explain. Sa, lower re, higher re, lower ga, higher ga, ma, higher ma. And this is what the keyboard is. Now, once we do know the notes, the 12 notes, they have to be arranged in a certain pattern, and they have to be subject to certain rules, and we have a rag, which is a music mode. So we have 12 notes. We have 12 notes. We use them in a certain sequence, put some rules and restrictions, and we have what we call a music mode or a rag. So what are those notes. They are very simple, the rules and regulations of a rag. A rag, we have to say, how do we use the notes in Arohi, which is ascent. Avrohi is coming back in lower frequency, so that has to be defined, the Arohi and Avrohi for each rag. Like sa, ga, ma, dha, ni, sa, ni, dha, ma, ga, sa. So we are saying this is how we will go up, this is how we will come down. Then there are some characteristic catchphrases. Then each rag has a jati, which is a class. And what that means is that it has 5 notes, or 6 notes, or 7 notes. No rag has less than 5 notes. So the rags which have 5 notes are known as Adav rags. Those that have 6 notes have known as Khadav rag, and those that have 7 are known as Sampuran rag. Then the day has been divided into 8 sections of 3 hours each, known as the pahars. Each rag is best performed in that pahar. Then we have the Vadi Sur, which is the sonant, which is the note that is used most often. We have the subsonant, the Samvadi, which is used second number. Then we have the Anuvadi Sur, which is the assonant, which is the regular note. The Vivadi or dissonant note that is not to be used in the rag. And then we have a grace note, which is not allowed, but an expert musician can touch upon it. And this is all that is defined in a rag, unlike Western music, where we have pages and pages of written music. In Hindustani Sangeet, this is pretty much what we have for a rag. Everything else is left to improvisation. There's not much more written ever. You just improvise. So that was rag. Any questions about that? Now, lay is very simple. It is tempo. What is the speed at which the beat is sung? Now, at that time, we did not have metronomes, we did not have watches, we did not have clocks, but all of us had hearts. And people started counting their heartbeat, which, as you know, is now more or closer to 72, but it used to be higher. In prehistoric times, it was 80 beats per minute. And that came to be known as the standard barabar lay, 80 beats per minute. If you halved it, it became balampat 40 lays. If you further halved it, it became ati balampat. If you doubled it, it became drut. And if you quadrupled it, it became anudrut. So this was the standard, 80 beats per minute. And then these were the 5 tempi. One of the things that I like to mention is that if you read the older scriptures of music, the Nate Shastra, one is only supposed to sing in these 5 tempos, nothing in between. That is not always followed, but that is what the rule is. So I will ask Haris just to demonstrate these 5 beats for you. So we will begin with Madhle, na, din, din, 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 na. Now let's double this. Na, din, na, din, 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 din, na. So this would be our drut. Now if we halved it to Valambat, it would be na, din, din, na, din, din, na, din, din, na, din, din, na. So that was just a demonstration of some different tempos for you. Now, there are a lot of syllables in tabla as there are syllables sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sa. And I would like you to know that each one of them has a very distinct sound. Haris, na, ta, din, terekit, gege, gege, nana, nana, dig, 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 nana, nana, tak, tak, ginanag, tak, tak, ginanag, tak, ginanag, tak, ginanag, ginanag. MashaAllah. So this is how these go. MashaAllah. So what is a rhythmic time cycle? We know what tempo it is, but it has to repeat. It can't go on forever. And a rhythmic cycle is just a cycle of time counted in beats. Now, remember in the rag we had the sonant, the vivadi, the vadi, arohi, avrohi, ascent. Those were the rules. These are the 5 rules in tal. The first is known as sam, which is the first beat. Tali is known as the beat with a stress. Khali is a beat with the negation of stress. Avardi is the full cycle, and vibhag are the divisions between a cycle. And this is really understood if we look at teen tal, the most major of all time cycles in Hindustani Sangeet. As you can see, it has 16 beats. Na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na. The sum is on the first beat. Then, if we look at tali, there are 3 claps, which is on 1, 5, and 13. Those are the talis. And this is how we show the tali. Then khali is on the 9th beat. This is how we show the khali. And the complete vibhag, you would notice nadin dhenna is the exact same again, nadin dhenna, slightly different, nadin dhenna, nadin dhenna. These are the subdivisions known as vibhag. And then we have avardi, which is the entire 16-beat cycle. And if you were to take an exam of this and wanted a cheat sheet, you could take this with you. So this shows the vibhag, the avardi, the tali, the khali, the tali, and then the sum. But I think it's good if we practice, because once you listen to music, one of the signs of good culture, education, and knowledge, and much else, is how you clap your hands in good tempo. So let's try that. Na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Na, dhin, dhin, 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 na. Now that we know this, we should remember that everything that a musician does, all the improvisation, all the calculations, all the singing, he has to arrive back at sum. It has to be done within the 16-beat cycle. So, na, dhin, dhin, 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 na. Tha te te tha te te tha da te te tha ge tina ge na. Tha te te tha te te tha da te te tha ge tina ge na, dhin, dhin, na. So you compose something and put it there. And there is a thing known as tihai, that you do something thrice and it still ends on 1. Na, look at it. Na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na. Tha te te tha da te te tha ge tina ge na. Tha te te tha da te te ge tina ge na. Tha te te tha tha. Tha te te tha tha. Tha te te tha tha. Dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na. Ta thai, tig tig thai, tig 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 thai. Ta thai, tran thai, tran thai, tran. Na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na, dhin, dhin, na. So we are good with tal. So we know rag and we know tal, but now we are going to give you a good example. So just a second. The one thing I always say is Qawwali is always in a rag and a tal. Qawwals are allowed to mix different rags and to employ different tals in the same Qawwali, but they are not allowed to sing a wavered and avara song. They are tied by rag and by tal. And Amir Khusro, what he did was, he defined tals that were used in Qawwali, and he defined rags that are best used in Qawwali. And some of these examples are the rags that he did was Aman, Bagru, Muvafik, Sarparda, Zilaf, Mujir, tons of rags. And then he invented the Qawwali tal and a very famous tal, Asule Fakhta and Farodast. So let me just explain how he did Qawwali tal. Beta. It's a cycle of 8 beats, 2 vibhag. Din din da da tin tin da da din din da 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 din da. This was invented by Hazrat Amir Khusro for Qawwali, and this is the standard tal for Qawwali. Then he invented the tal which we call Asool-e-Fakhta. Asool means rule, Fakhta means the dove. And it is a 5-beat cycle which explains how a dove flies. Din din da da din din da da katta din din. So this is how it flies. Katta. Din din da da katta. Din din da da din din da da katta. Din da da din din da da katta. And this is how it flies. So it says din din da da din din da da katta. Din din da da din din da da katta. And this is how we have Asool-e-Fakhta. And now I want to play a song, have them sing a song which is known as Kangana. And what it is it is a song in Rag Malkauns. And remember I said that there was an Arohi, the ascent. That for Malkauns is Sa Ga Ma Dha Ni Sa. Avrohi is Sa Ni Dha Ma Ga Sa. Pakar, the catchphrases are Ni Sa Ga, Ma Ga Sa Nya Sa Ni Dha Ni Dha Ma Dha Ni Sa. The Vadi Sur, which is the sonant, is the Ma. The subsonant sur is Kharaj. And then 3 surs are used standard. And Pa and Re are not allowed in Malkauns. So if we have 5 notes, we only have an Odav Rag, which is its Jati. The Ras is Virta, bravery. And the time is from midnight to 3 a.m. And there are a bunch of film songs that have been combined in it. And one thing that I want to mention is it is something sung in 10 beats known as Chaptal, which is Dhin na, Dhin, Dhin na, Din na, Din, Din 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 na.
रितना रितना रितनो
कंगना कंगना कंगना
कंगना दे दे
रिछल मेरो कंगना दे दे रिछल मेरो
गमदानी सा
कंगना दे दे रिछल
सनी दानी सनी दम दम गम गसा गमदानी सनी दानी सा
कंगना दे दे
मोरा कंगना दे दे सा गा धा रा गा मा 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 धा मा धा मा धा मा धा मा मा गा मा गा धा सा धा गा मा धा 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 मा धा धा मा धा नी नी धा 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 मा मा धा नी नी धा 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 नी नी धा धा नी धा गा मा गा धा नी धा नी नी धा नी धा धा मा धा मा मा गा मा गा
सा गमदानी दा सा
कंगना
मोरा का कंगना मोरा कंगना मोरा कंगना सगा मा 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 गा मा गा सा सगा मा दा मा मा गा मा दा मा मा गा मा नी दा दा गा मा नी दा दा गा मा सा नी नी दा दा नी सा गा मा 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 गा मा गा सा नी सा नी नी दा नी दा दा मा 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 गा मा दा नी सा गा मा दा नी सा सा
कंगना
तोरी बिनती करूं तोरी बिनती करूं तोरे पैया 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 भरूं कंगना
दे दे कंगना दे दे बीच बजरिया मोरी चुनरी रंग डारी बीच बजरिया मोरी चुनरी रंग डारी बीच बजरिया मोरी चुनरी रंग डारी काहे करस मोसे जोर जोरी नंद लाल काहे करस मोसे जोर जोरी नंद लाल कंगना
कंगना दे दे सा धा 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 नी 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 धा धा नी नी धा नी नी धा नी नी धा गा 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 सा धा धा गा मा 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 धा मा धा मा धा मा धा 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 मा गा मा गा धा नी धा धा नी धा नी नी धा नी धा नी धा धा नी धा गा 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 धा गा गा धा मा मा गा मा 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 गा मा गा धा सा गा मा धा मा धा मा धा गा मा धा मा धा गा मा गा धा नी धा धा नी धा नी धा धा नी धा गा मा धा गा मा नी धा नी 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 धा सा धा धा नी नी धा धा नी धा 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 नी धा गा मा गा धा नी धा नी नी धा नी धा मा धा गा मा गा धा गा मा धा नी धा 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 धा
कंगना
मारा बगम जकुस्त मारा बगम जकुस्त कजारा बहानसा
मारा बगम ज कुछ तो कजारा बहानसा
खुद सूए मान दी तो हयारा बहानसा
खुद सूए मान दी दो हयारा बहानसा
बरदोश गैर दस्त निहादज रहे करम
बरदोश गैर दस्त निहादज रहे करम
मारा जदीद लफ्ज से पारा बहान मन सा कंगना सनी दा दा नी 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 नी दा नी नी म दा गा म सा गा नी दा दा नी दा 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 नी दा गा म गा गा सा गा म दा नी नी दा सा गा म दा नी नी दा नी दा म दा नी नी दा दा नी दा गा म गा दा नी नी दा दा म दा सा कंगना
लपक झपक लपक झपक लपक झपक 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 लपक लपक झपक 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 लपक लपक झपक 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 लपक लपक झपक झपक लपक झपक 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 लपक झपक 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 लपक लपक झपक लपक झपक और आन अचानक रंगदारों मोहे मदवा पिलाया
ऐसे रंगीले के बेदम
क्या बात है
ऐसे रंगीले के बेदम
जिन मोहे लाल गुलाल 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 बनायो
कंगना
कंगना Thank you.
MashaAllah. Now we were talking about Hindustani Sangeet, and Hindustani Sangeet has a very large number of genres. We have the Abhang, the Basit, the Hawa, Hori, Khayal, Jhura, Sadara, Tarana, hundreds of different genres. And the important thing to remember is that in Qawwali, each one of these genres can be performed. Every single genre that I list here, be it Soz or Marsiya or Mankabat or Geet or Dhrupad, you can perform it as a Qawwali. One of the very special things about Qawwali is that it means different things to different people depending on your own intelligence, your spiritual state, your knowledge state, your religion, your capacity to love, your capacity to accept love, your capacity to give love. The same song can mean a lot of different things. Earlier today, we had gone out to the peak, and I was talking to these young men about a song known as Kahe Ko Byahi Bides. That is a song written by Amir Khusro. And even in a group this small, there would be, if we have 100 people here, there would be 100 different interpretations of that song. What it says is that a girl is saying to her father, "Dear father, why have you married me off to someone from an alien land?" And a lot of people will enjoy that song as a song that a girl sings in a melancholy happiness, sadness when she's leaving the father's home. But for some people, that song is about Adam and Eve being banished from the heavens, and they're asking, why are you sending us to an alien land when you're keeping your angels here in heavens? For some people, it is about their kids leaving their hometown to go to studies abroad. For other people, it is about a wife who is sending her husband off to a larger city to earn a living. Everyone will interpret a good Qawwali in his own way. What is your knowledge? What is your capacity to love? What is your religious persuasion? How spiritual you are, how materialistic you are, Qawwali will be something different for you. And before we proceed, since we have mentioned this song, let's listen to a short version of काहे को ब्याही विदेश. In 14 beats. राग मुझे पता नहीं है. किस राग में? जी, तिलक का मोड़. One of the genres that I want to talk about is the Tarana. This was one of the 6 replies that Amir Khusro had prepared in response to Nai Gopal's Dua, Geet, Gobind, Chand, Prabandh, Matha. Tarana was one of the responses. And what Tarana does is it uses phonemes and mnemonics from Persian, Turkish, Hindavi language and words that typically do not mean much or mean anything, and is sung in either the medium tempo or the fast tempo. It's not sung in slow tempos. And people do not understand that these words are full of meaning and they were purposely kept obscure so people would focus and would understand more and would achieve a higher spiritual state. So some of these words are jalali, jalalum, tanana, dirdirna, but each one of these means Ya Allah, O God, Ya Jalali, Ya Ali, O Dani, He knows, Tu Dani, you know, Nadir Dani, I know nothing, Tandar Dani, come and live within me, Dar, towards me, Dar-a, come towards me, Tandarya, come and take my body over. And these words combined to make what is known as a Tarana. Another thing that Amir Khusro had invented in response was Khayal, which is the established pure classical form of music, Hindustani Sangeet today. So what I'm going to request the Qawwals next is to sing first a Khayal in Rag Bhairavi, in Ada Chotala, 14 beats, and then a Tarana in the same. Actually, let's do three things. First we do the Khayal, then we do the Bandish ki Thumri, Barajori Nahi Re, and then we do a Tarana invented by Tanras Khan ji. So all three items in Rag Bhairavi, the first in 14 beats, then in 16 beats, and then the Tarana in 16 beats. Ladies and gentlemen, Rag Bhairavi.
पसिया बजाई रे पनिया भरन कैसे जाऊं
पनिया भरन पनिया भरन कैसे जाऊं कैसे पनिया
पनिया भरन कैसे जाऊं पनिया भरन पनिया भरन कैसे पनिया 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 भरन कैसे जाऊं बारा जोरी नाई रे कनाई बारा जोरी नाई रे कनाई
बारा जोरी नाई रे बारा जोरी नाई रे
बारा जोरी नाई रे कनाई पनिया भरन गगरी मोरी गिराई करके लड़ाई बारा जोरी
नाई रे कनाई पनिया भरन गगरी मोरी गिराई
बारा जोरी
नाई रे कनाई पनिया भरन गगरी मोरी गिराई करके लड़ाई बारा जोरी
बारा जोरी नाई रे कनाई पनिया भरन गगरी मोरी तिराई बारा जोरी
नाई रे कनाई
जाए कहो कोई सनत पिया से
जाए कहो कोई सनत पिया से
जाए कहो कोई सनत
पिया से
वही क्यों न जाए जहाँ रनिया गवाई करके लड़ाई बारा जोरी नाई रे
कनाई
जाए कहो कोई सनत पिया से
जाए कहो कोई सनत पिया से
वही क्यों न जाए जहाँ रनिया गवाई करके लड़ाई बारा जोरी नाई रे बारा जोरी नाई बारा जोरी नाई
And this is one of my favorite songs that these people sing, and it's an important song for those of you who do not understand Hindi. It says it's a song, about a love song of Radha and Krishna. And Radha is saying to Krishna, do not tease me. All I'm doing is I filled a pitcher of water, I'm carrying it on my head, and I'm taking it home. Do not tease me because the pitcher will fall and it will break, and I'll have to get a new one and go and fetch water again. And then when she gets angry, she says, जाए कहो कोई सनद पिया से वहीं क्यों ना जाएं जहाँ रतियाँ गवाई करके लड़ाई. So she tells her lover, now you have come back and paying attention to me, I would rather go back where you spend the night with another woman. And now that she has shunned you, should come back to me. So the song is very universal. And the funny thing about this song is that, or rather the important thing is that it's truly syncretic in nature. It's a Hindu song celebrating the love of Radha and Krishna, but it was written by a Muslim. His name was Ghulam Qadir. His pen name was Sanad Pia. He came from Bareilly. Then he went to the court of Nawab Wajid Ali Shah. And after that, he went to Rampur. But being a Muslim does not mean you cannot love the deities of other religions. In fact, being a Muslim means you can love deities of other religions. And he went and he did the song. Now the question we have is Qawwali a genre of music? We already said music has Geet, Ghazal, Kafi, Hori, Dhamar, Tappa, Jhula, all sorts of things. So if everything can be sung in Qawwali, how can Qawwali be a genre of music? The truth is, 4 items combine to make a Qawwali. The first one is music. If you don't know rag, if you are not in sur, if you don't know tal, or if you are not in good tempo, you cannot be a qawwal. So that is a requirement. The next thing is you need to have knowledge. And this does not mean knowledge of music alone. It means knowledge in its widest forms. You need to understand psychology. You need to understand culture. You need to understand history. You need to understand mathematics. You need to understand medicine. A good qawwal can talk about any topic with anyone at any time. And that is the level of knowledge we expect from qawwals. The third thing is, once they have knowledge, they need to be aware of what they know and what they do not know. So you have music, you have knowledge, and then you have awareness. And after that, the top of the pyramid is gnosis, where you understand what everything is all about. And these four things make a qawwal who sings pure Khusravi Qawwali. Mausiki, ilm, agahi, marfat. In Qawwali, we can define it in terms of the genre. We are singing a ghazal in Qawwali, or we can define it in terms of poetry as well. Manat, mankabat, Shehr-e-Ashub, we are singing different genres. It can be done both ways. But the forms in terms of music that I want to talk about are Basit and Kalbana, which are respectively known as Tal Sagar and Rag Sagar because they combine different rags and tals invented by Hazrat Amir Khusro. We have Naqsh, which is a rubai. We had Gul and Hawa, which are in the form of a bath. One is sung in Bahariya rags, the other in Malhar variations. We have Qawwal, which is a saying of the Prophet. We have Tarana, we spoke about. We have Tirvat, which combines different words of percussive instruments and the words of Tarana and Sargam together. But there are two things that I want to talk about specifically here. One of them is not clearly listed here. It's listed at Silvat, but it is also known as Tilana. And one of the 12 qawwal bachas that I spoke about had a cleft lip, and he could not close his lips together. Now, Amir Khusro did not want him to feel left out. He did not want the child to feel there was something wrong with him and he could not sing as well as others whose lips touched each other. So he invented a form known as Tilana, in which the lips never meet throughout the song. So as a demonstration of a Tilana, which was written to make sure that a child did not felt excluded, let's hear a Tilana. So you may have noticed that their lips never touch each other during the entire song. Now, one of the things that I often feel, and I'm especially feeling today, is that their music is so good that my talk interrupts the music. And for that purpose, I have a solution. On Sunday, the senior Fareed Bhai and Abu Mohammad Bhai are going to perform at this venue, but in a larger hall, without any interruptions from me. So make sure that all of you are there to enjoy Qawwali as it is meant to be enjoyed. So one of the other songs that I want to talk about is the Sohela. And to the very best of my knowledge, this is the only gharana, the only family school of musicians who still know what a Sohela is and what it's meant. A Sohela is a geet. Now we have all heard of manja. Manja, when a girl is being married, she's going to be married. She stops wearing makeup, starts wearing pale colored clothing, and is kept secluded, separate, because people are afraid of the evil eye. And these are the songs that are sung by Qawwals at the time to guide and to protect the would-be bride. And she has to be protected by the evil eye, by the evil spirits, but she also has to be prepared for the husband. And one of the Sohelas that I'm going to ask these young men to sing is a really nice one, which it talks about what the bride needs to do to make sure the husband is happy and does not look here or there. So everyone who needs a translation of that, we can offer that too. And before I ask them to sing the Sohela, I do want to mention something. I noticed some people taking photographs of the slides. I'd be more than happy to share the entire presentation with anyone who emails me. This is Qawwali. It's not something that is owned by me or anybody else. Any and everything presented here, any and every recordings you have done, they are for you to have. Email me and you'll be surprised I respond very quickly. So, a Sohela. Thank you.
इसमें पंखे जलाऊंगी, मैं तो पर इसमें पंखे अपनी जान के मैं पर इसमें पंखे
जलाऊंगी।
हरियाले बने लाडले
को सखीरी
हरियाले बने लाडले को आज टोना।
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was a Sohela for you. Now, Qawwali I defined and explained as in terms of music, Your Honors, but it can also be defined in terms of poetry. We can have a bhajan, which is a Hindi devotional song, and abhang, which is a Hindi devotional song in Marathi. We can have doha, which is a form of Hindi poetry. We can have fard, which is a single couplet. We can have a ghazal, which has a number of ghazals. It's essentially a Petrarchan sonnet. We can have a hamd, which is a song in praise of God. We can have a hazal, which is a funny poem, which follows again the format of the Petrarchan sonnet. We can have hijv, which is a poet where you make fun of somebody. You can have kafi, which is a Sufi song. Madha, a song where you praise a king or a prime minister. And manajat, where you make supplications to God. Mankabat, where you talk about people like Hazrat Ali, Imam Hussain. Marsiya, which is a song of an elegy lamenting the loss of Hussain in Karbala. Now, each one of these can and have been sung in Qawwali. And there are two things that I want them to sing without a break. The first one, we will do a Qawwali, Tere Ishq Nachaya karke thaiya thaiya. And after that, वो जल्दी में छोटा करेंगे और लंबा करते हैं मनकबत को मन कुंतो मौला फा अली उन मौला. ठीक है जी?
दिल विच गैरत आई बुल्ला पुलिया पीर वलों ते दिल विच गैरत आई केड़ी शक्ल बनावा यारो उस दर ते होवे रसाई
केड़ी शक्ल बनावा यारो उस दर ते होवे रसाई
बुल्ला पाल बास तवाए फवाला ते पैरी जौंजर पाई दर मुर्शद दे आके बुलिया देती हो दुआई की छेती बोनी वे तबीबा ओ छेती बोनी वे तबीबा ओ छेती बोनी वे तबीबा
इश्क नचाया करे थैया थैया
हो तेरे इश्क नचाया तेरे इश्क नचाया तेरे इश्क नचाया तेरे इश्क नचाया हो तेरे इश्क नचाया थैया थैया हो तेरे इश्क नचाया मैनू यार मनावण वेल नहीं मैनू यार मनावण वेल नहीं मैनू यार मनावण वेल नहीं हो मैनू यार मनावण वेल नहीं दस रब नू मनावा किस वेले हो दस रब नू मनावा किस वेले माही दा तसव्वुर टुटदा नहीं हो दस भी हलावा किस वेले तेरे इश्क नचाया तेरे इश्क नचाया मैनू यार मनावण वेल नहीं मैनू यार मनावण वेल नहीं दस रब नू मनावा किस वेले दस रब नू मनावा किस वेले माही दा तसव्वुर टुटदा नहीं दस दस भी हलावा किस वेले तेरे इश्क नचाया
वेड़े छुप गया सूरज
वेड़े छुप गया सूरज वेड़े छुप गया सूरज
और बाहर रह गईयां लाली
वेड़े छुप गया सूरज बाहर रह गई लाली वेड़े छुप गया सूरज
वेड़े छुप गया सूरज और बाहर रह गईयां लाली जावा मैं तेरे सदके जेवे मुड़ जेवे खाली हो
जावा मैं तेरे सदके जेवे मुड़ जेवे खाली
अड़िया मैं भूल गईयां तेरे नाल ना गईयां
अड़िया मैं भूल गईयां तेरे नाल ना गईयां
ओ तेरे इश्क नचाया
करे थैया थैया तेरे इश्क नचाया तेरे इश्क नचाया
तेरे इश्क ने डेरा
हो तेरे इश्क हो तेरे इश्क ने डेरा
मेरे दिल विच कीता
तेरे इश्क ने डेरा मेरे दिल विच कीता
भरिया जहर दा प्याला बहता
आप ही पीता भरिया जहरा प्याला बहता आप ही पीता
वो अड़िया मैं भूल गईयां तेरे नाल ना गईयां
अड़िया मैं भूल गईयां तेरे नाल ना गईयां तेरे इश्क नचाया कारे थैया थैया
हो तेरे इश्क नचाया थैया थैया
तेरे इश्क नचाया थैया थैया
हो तेरे इश्क नचाया थैया थैया तेरे इश्क नचाया पढ़ पढ़ आलम नले फाजिल होया पढ़ पढ़ आलम नले फाजिल होया कदी अपने आप नू पढ़िया ही नहीं
पढ़ पढ़ आलम फाजिल होया कदी अपने आप नू पढ़िया ही नहीं जा जा वड़दा मंदिर मसीता जा जा
वड़दा मंदिर मसीता
मन अपने विच वड़िया ही नहीं
जा जा वड़दा मंदिर मसीता मन अपने विच वड़िया ही नहीं
ऐ वही रोज शैतान नाल लड़दा ऐ वही
रोज शैतान नाल लड़दा
ऐ वही रोज शैतान नाल लड़दा कदी नफ्स अपने कोलों लड़िया ही नहीं
बुल्ले शाह आसमानियां उड़ दिया जेड़ा घर बैठा उन फड़े आई नहीं तेरे
इश्क नचाया थैया थैया
इश्क नचाया। अब आपके सामने कौल पेश करें, समाअत फरमाइए। नविस्ता पर दरे जन्नत बखत सब्ज़ जली।
नविस्ता पर दरे जन्नत बखत सब्ज़ जली। जन्नत के दरवाजे पे बड़े बड़े हरूफ में लिखा हुआ है नविश्ता बर दरे जन्नत बखते सब्ज़ो जली।
शफी रोज़े क़यामत मोहम्मद अरबी।
और खुदा गवाह के खुदा गवाह के बादस मोहम्मद अरबी
अली अली माम मनस्तो मनम गुलाम अली।
मनम गुलाम अली।
अली अली इमाम मनस्तो मनम गुलाम अली। हजार जान गिराओ में फिदा बना में अली।
मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला
मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला मौला अली 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 मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला मौला।
शाह मर्दा शेर यज़्दा क़ुव्वत परवरदिगार।
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 ला फता इल्ला अली
ला फता इल्ला अली ताज़े बिल्ला मुल्फ़िक़ा। मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला मौला।
हैदरियम हैदरियम कलंदरम मस्तम
हैदरियम कलंदरम मस्तम
हैदरियम कलंदरम मस्तम
हैदरियम कलंदरम मस्तम
बंदे मुर्तज़ाली हस्तम
बंदाए मुर्तज़ाली हस्तम
पेशवाए तमाम रिंदानम
पेशवाए तमाम रिदानम
के सके कुए शेर यज़दानम
के सके कुए शेर यज़दानम।
चुअली शेख मन जबरदस्त
चुअली शेख मन जबरदस्त
मन गुलाम अली जबरदस्त दम मौला अली मौला मौला अली अली अली
मौला अली मौला मौला अली।
चुअली शेख मन जबरदस्त
चुअली शेख मन जबरदस्त
मन गुलाम अली जबरदस्त दम मौला
अली मौला मौला
अली 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 मौला अली मौला
मौला अली।
हैदरियम कलंदरम मस्तम
हैदरियम कलंदरम मस्तम
बंदे मुर्तज़ा अली हस्तम
बंदाए मुर्तज़ाली हस्तम
पेशवाए तमाम रिदानम
पेशवाए
मन जबरदस्त
Qawwali Shaikh man zabardast
मन गुलामी अली जबरदस्त मौला अली मौला
Mawla Ali Mawla Mawla
ओ 100 बार हाँ साहब मुलाहिजा फरमाइए 100 बार ले गई मुझे बाजार मुफलिसी
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 और हर बार मैंने अपना क़ीदा बचा लिया
हर बार मैंने अपना क़ीदा बचा लिया
मैंने पढ़ी थी अपनी हिफाजत के वास्ते
मैंने पढ़ी थी अपनी हिफाजत के वास्ते
नादे अली ने सारा इलाका बचा लिया
मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला
मौला अली मौला मौला अली मौला
मन कुल तो मौला
फाले उल मौला फाले उल मौला आहे दरा दिल दरा
दर दानी दर दानी दर दानी दर दिल दर दिल दर दानी
हम तुम तना ना 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 रे
हम तुम तना ना ना ना
हम तुम तना ना ना ना
तना ना ना रे
और या लाली ए ला या लाली या ला या ला या ला या ला या
यार ले
मन कुल तो मौला
क्या बात है क्या बात है क्या बात है
थैंक यू
क्या बात है The next thing I want to talk about is the Mehfil-e-Sama, which is the right platform for performing and listening to Qawwali. Now the operative word here is Sama, which is derived from the capacity to listen. But when you listen to a Qawwali in a Mehfil-e-Sama, you are actually experiencing spiritual listening. Now what does that mean? You listen not just from the ears, but from the heart, from the soul. You listen to the poetry, to the music, to the spiritualism, and you soak it all in. So each one of the 5 senses and the 6th one, which is a spiritual one, you employ to listen to and enjoy Qawwali. And one of the things that I like to mention is that there is a certain decorum, a certain set of etiquettes, some rules, some regulations for properly attending Qawwali and enjoying it. Now the first thing that we have not done today is floor seating, because this is a seminar, not a Mehfil-e-Sama. The event on Sunday, we will have floor seating, and of course for people who have any reason not to be able to sit on the floor, we'll have chairs as well. The second thing is, one is not supposed to wear shoes because it's a form of prayer while performing Qawwali. You participate actively, people dance, people offer money, and people stand up for the last song known as Rung. Now one of the things that is very unique to Hindustani Sangeet is that you are never quiet. The audience talks louder than the musician when doing praise. MashaAllah, Subhanallah, kya baat hai, wah wah wah. Without these words of appreciation, Qawwali or any musical performance is incomplete, and you are not supposed to stay quiet. You talk, and you talk at a volume louder than the performers. And you focus on the Qawwali. You cannot be talking about shopping or politics. The focus is there. You can praise them, but you cannot have other conversation. The other thing is that money is an important part of the ritual of Qawwali. But again, this cannot be a vulgar display of money. This is a spiritual gathering. There are 5 categories of money involved. Bail, it's the money given to Qawwals during the performance, and it's just come and left there as an appreciation. Inam is a prize given after a good performance to younger musicians. For example, if these kids perform well, their father can give them what is known as a prize or a reward known as inam. Nazar and sadqa is different. When qawwalis are sung at khankas, at mazars, at mausoleums, we have the poor, the sick, the needy. So people would give money of sadqa and money of nazar, which is the evil eye, to the people who need the money. Now there's a similar word known as nazar, but unless you know Urdu, you won't know the difference between nazar and nazar. It's a short of nazrana, which is an offering made to a senior musician. So this one I want to talk about a little more. Inam is given by a senior to a junior. Nazrana is given by a junior to a senior. Nazar is given before the performance. Inam is given after the performance. Now let me tell you why. If all of them are young enough to be my children, and they are my children, to be honest, if they perform well, I will give them money as a reward, as an inam. But if Fareed Bhai and Abu Muhammad were sitting here, it's not my place to give them inam. I can give nazar. Now, why do I give it before they sing? Because their music is at a level where I cannot appreciate or judge it. I assume that they are going to give so well that I give them nazar beforehand. So there's a lot of fine nuances in the etiquette of Qawwali. And the other thing is, it is always the host prerogative to initiate giving of nazar. There are mehfils where you don't give money, there are where you do. And the host is the one who opens the nazar. And there is a reason. Maybe I'm a host and I've invited 50 people. Some of them are very rich, some of them are very poor. I probably don't want nazar done there because the poor will feel bad. Or I may have an arrangement with the qawwals where I say, I don't like nazar, so we are not going to. Or we may say, we're going to pay this much fee, but we guarantee this much nazar. And only the host knows these things. And therefore, one must follow the lead of the host. If he or she gives money, then everybody follows. Otherwise, they don't. And I was talking that the host initiation, and if you give nazrana before it, it's a sign of bad manners. And when you talk of bad manners, the worst is when people throw money. That is done at Nautanki, that is done at Mujra, that is not done at Qawwali. You hand money in the most discreet manner. Either you bring a handkerchief and you put money in it, or in a thali, and if you don't have that, you just keep the money in the palm so that it's hidden. Because people who are true aristocrats, people who have good upbringing, people who are honest, they don't need to show how much money you are giving by throw it in. You can leave an envelope here, and everybody knows that this guy's upbringing ensures that he's paying them fairly. Nobody needs to show that off. People with the right upbringing do the right thing. And this thing is the most important one in a Mehfil-e-Sama. And again, I say today is a lecture. It's not a Mehfil-e-Sama. The performer, ye ghar ki hai. A performer and a listener is equally important. Without a proper listener, the best of the qawwals cannot sing well. And with a proper listener, even a mediocre qawwal would sing very well. But both are necessary, because if you don't have the right listener, then you can't recite Qawwali, because Qawwali transfers knowledge. And if there's nobody seeking knowledge, nobody there to receive it, then it goes waste. So the listener and the performer is equally important. And in the end, I mentioned that Rung is always sung at the end of Qawwali. Why? So let me talk about Rung a little bit. One of the things that's being done a lot in Indian film songs and Urdu film songs these days is the use of the word Rung. I usually take exception to that because I think understanding what getting into somebody's color, rang diya jana, means requires more than using the word mujhe apne rang mein ranga le, rangile. There are things that you need to understand. Can I have your ajrak for a minute? Let's say we have this ajrak, and this is blue and red, and I want to change its color. Do you know what this would have to go through? First, you would have to bleach this. Then you would have to wash it. Then you have to hit it against the stones to get the color out. Then you boil it to take the residue out. Then you put sizing on it to get it fresh again. Then you do 3 coats of the new color and of the bleach, and it becomes white. And after getting beaten up, boiled, hung, stretched, and dried, and colored again, are you ready to get into a new color? And when you go to your murshid, your teacher, your ustad, to your beloved, you have to go through all this to get rid of every color in your soul, in your body, become white, and only then are you ready to be colored in the rang of the beloved. And that means rang. So there is a reason why rang is performed at the end of a performance. It is said that when rang is performed properly, your beloved would come corporeally in a body in the mehfil where rang is sang properly. So when you have received, your lover has arrived. Qawwali is all about getting close to your lover. When the lover has arrived, you have met the goal of the Qawwali. There's no more Qawwali after that. Rang is the last item. When you found what you came to look for, there's no reason to listen to more Qawwali. And mil gaya. And when your lover is there, you don't stay seated. You get up to welcome the lover. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for Rang. And thank you very much for today's attention, your love, and listening to us. We will have snacks afterwards. Please stick around. Thank you very much.
आज रंग है हे माँ रंग हरी, आज रंग है हे माँ रंग है, हो आज रंग है हे माँ जलोरी, आज रंग है हे माँ रंग हरी मेरे महबूब के घर, मेरी सखीरी मेरे महबूब के हो मेरे महबूब के घर, मेरे महबूब के घर ओ सजन मिलावरा आनंद बधावरा, सजन जलोरी मेरा महबूब मिलावरा, इस आंगन में मेरा महबूब मिलावरा, इस आंगन में मेरा महबूब मिलावरा, सजन मिलावरा मोरे घर आज रंगे हैं। मोहे पीर पायो, मोहे पीर पायो नीजा मदीना आलिया, मोहे पीर पायो आहे 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 वाह, मोहे पीर पायो ओ नीजा मदीना आलिया, नीजा मदीना आलिया, नीजा मदीना आलिया, नीजा मदीना हो जा नीजा मदीना आलिया, नीजा मदीना आलिया, नीजा मदीना आलिया, जब देखो मोरे संग है माँ रंग है, वो तो जब देखो अरे हाँ, वो तो जब देखो अरे वो तो जब देखो मोरे संग है माँ रंग है, मैं तो ऐसो रंग और नहीं देखी देश बदेश में ढूंढ फिरी हूँ, देश बदेश में, देश बदेश में, देश बदेश में, देश बदेश में मन भायो मैं तोरा रंग
तोरा रंग मन भायो मैं तोरा रंग
हाँ देश बदेश में ढूंढ फिरी हूँ
देश प्रदेश में
देश बदेश में ढूंढ फिरी हूँ
तोरा रंग मन भायो मैं तोरा रंग
तोरा रंग मन भायो मैं तोरा रंग तोरा रंग मन भायो मैं तोरा रंग तोरा रंग मन भायो
मैं तोरा रंग घूर रहियो मां मैं तो ऐसो रंग आले नबी वसलवातुल्लाह वसलामुहुल अलैहि आलेही आले नबी वसलवातुल्लाह वसलामुहु अलैहि आलेही फातिमा तुम बिजात मिन्नी आहे वा बिजाते आहे आहे वा बिजा फजा तो दानी 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 दरा दे दे आ आले नबी वसलवातुल्लाह वसलामुहु अलैहि आलेही
थैंक यू
बहुत शुक्रिया आप लोगों का।